I got nothing. Babylon is a brand new 2022 drama film directed by Damien Chazelle, starring Margot Robbie, Brad Pitt, and Diego Calva. And I was really rooting for this movie to be good because I love Damien Chazelle as a director. I absolutely love Whiplash. It's one of my favorite modern day films. And La La Land was really good as well, in my opinion. And First Man is there. It's a basic biopic, but it's not absolutely terrible. So then, when I heard that he was directing a film set in 1920s Hollywood, and it was pretty much going to be a 3 hour film of depravity, debauchery, and insanity, I was excited for it. And then the cast was announced: Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, Diego Calva, Tobey Maguire. Amazing cast. It shouldn't have been terrible, right? Well, it's not terrible, that's for sure. But yeah, let's just go ahead and get into this review. Starting off with good, and there's some good in this movie. It's not an absolutely terrible, unbearable film. Starting off, like I said, with the good. First of all, the acting is really good in this movie. First, you got Margot Robbie. She's the main character in this movie, and she does great. I love Margot Robbie as an actress. She is great in everything. She is just a great actress. Like I said, I really want to see her thrive more in film outside of just being Harley Quinn, and it looks like she's gonna be just fine because she is absolutely terrific in this movie. I feel like she could be up for an Oscar. I could be wrong. I don't know, but she was great in this movie. Then you have Diego Calva as the second main character, and he does really good as well. I haven't seen him in anything else that I can think of. I forgot to look it up on IMDb, but he's really good in this movie. I really like the chemistry between him and Margot Robbie. And then you have Brad Pitt as pretty much the secondary story main character in this film. He's really good as well. Brad Pitt's always great. He's one of the greatest actors of all time. Really liked him in this movie. And outside of those main three, this is a character that I feel this movie needed way more of, and that is Tobey Maguire. He's only in this movie for 10 minutes, but he absolutely steals the show. I loved him in this movie. He's easily the best part of this movie. And I'm glad that Tobey Maguire's starting to make a little bit of a comeback. He was in No Way Home last year, and he was in Babylon this year. I think he's got something else coming out next year. I'm not entirely sure. But I really want to see Tobey Maguire make a bit more of a comeback like Brendan Fraser is making. And I feel like this movie needed a lot more of Tobey Maguire because he was absolutely terrific in this movie. He was eccentric, he was crazy, he was kind of terrifying in some parts, and he was really good. Now, outside of the acting, some of the other stuff in this movie was good. Pretty much the entire first half was enjoyable. Specifically, once the title card comes up and you're going through a day in the life of these actors and producers, it's really interesting. It's actually quite funny. There's some funny stuff that's sprinkled in throughout this movie. And this movie's not nearly as insane as the trailer makes it out to be, but it's still got some madness in the mix, and it's enjoyable for about 50 to 55% of the movie. And also the soundtrack is great. The score is amazing. The camera work, terrific. And I just really like the editing of this film. It's very flashy. It doesn't really let up. And then the final 5-10 minutes of this movie is easily the best part of this movie. It's got this nice little tribute to cinema from the beginning of film all the way to modern day. It's a really nice, touching tribute to cinema. I really appreciated that. And that's about all for the good. Let's go head on to the bad. And yeah, this movie is a mess, in my opinion. Like I said, not absolutely terrible. But there's way more bad than good in this movie. First of all, I don't care about the overarching story of this film. It's just a whole movie about three terrible people intertwining within 1920s Hollywood, which is full of debauchery and depravity, as we've come to know. And really, none of the characters are very sympathetic. There is one character who's somewhat sympathetic, but he's barely in the movie. And all the main characters that this movie follows, none of them are very sympathetic, and by the time the movie ends, you don't really care where they end up, outside of one who does get a happy ending, but everybody else gets an unhappy ending. It's just, it had no effect on me. And then there's the whole opening 20 minutes. I remember reading for a long time that the opening 20 minutes of this movie was going to be some of the most depraved stuff in cinematic history. And I just didn't get that, because I've seen way more depraved stuff in other films prior to this one. And honestly, the opening 20 minutes is probably the worst part of the movie for me. It's just, it doesn't work. And also, there's a lot of really bad humor in this movie, mainly relating to shit and piss and vomit. Every single time something like that came up, I cringed because it wasn't funny. So, yeah. Final thoughts, I was not a fan of Babylon. I was really rooting for it. Like I said, I love Damien Chazelle. But Babylon is easily the most disappointing movie of the year for me. I will probably never watch it again. It was way too long as well, and I can only give it a 4 out of 10. So that is my review for Babylon. Unfortunately, I just was not a fan. So what'd you think about this movie if you have seen it? As always, I'd love to hear from you down in the comments. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.